Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us in our breakout room today and for your interest about hearing on one of our best practices from last cycle, which was hosting an interactive lunch and learn. My name is Samantha Savaglio, and I'm a member of the Unit C School Service Improvement Team. And joining me today from our team is Anne Lapuz. You can feel free to type your questions in the chat as they come to you throughout the presentation, or you can hold them until the end and raise your hand using the hand icon to ask them verbally, whatever you're most comfortable with, but we'll address questions at the end of the presentation. So as I mentioned, we are the Unit C School SIT, and we're a customer service oriented department, always striving to provide excellent service to our clients. Our department falls under the umbrella of the Employee Services Support Staff Office, and we work specifically with Unit C Schools based support staff. We provide support to approximately 583 schools and their administration and over 10,000 Unit C support staff employees. We have 17 staff members on our unit team, and we provide a wide variety of human resources related services, some of which you see listed on the slide here. So why did we decide to reflect on equity in this way? In a busy, high volume environment, it's often challenging to find time to commit to professional learning. It was apparent that our staff were interested in participating in professional learning, but just felt they were lacking the time to schedule and actually participate in these opportunities. So our SIT decided to make it a goal for the last cycle to find a way to create an opportunity for the entire unit team to come together and engage in meaningful conversation around relevant professional learning topics. We felt it was important that the learning be both informative and interactive, so we decided to schedule an interactive lunch and learn. We held the lunch and learn in December 2021 in Committee Room A at 5050 Yonge Street, and here are just a few photos we took of our unit team participating in the lunch and learn. So in our roles, we deal with a wide variety of different client groups who in and amongst themselves come from diverse backgrounds, ethnicities, and hold unique life experiences. Sometimes when working with a wide variety of clients, there are challenges presented. So to name a few, we often work with employees who do not speak English as a first language, or employees who are not well versed in the use of computers and digital products, which presents its own challenges as we move more into a virtual world. So we felt as a SIT, it was important to take time to center our learning on three main topics. The first one was reflection on similarities and differences. And we found that this learning helped us to stop framing differences as weaknesses and to instead respect differences and use them as a way to gain success and learn from one another. And also to help us understand how and why differences in things like communication styles occur and how they're shaping our daily interactions. The second topic was to understand how equity and bias relate to our everyday work. So we reflected on what exactly equity and bias are and talked about predisposition to biases. And we ultimately found that addressing and reflecting on these topics in the short term was key to changing biased attitudes in the long term. So now we're engaging in more authentic conversations with our clients and are more conscious of how our behavior, language, and actions are during these interactions are affecting them, and we can more easily identify when bias is occurring. And the third learning topic focused on sustaining the feeling of belongingness and inclusion. So this learning helped us to ensure everyone feels that they belong and are valued in the workplace, feel more connected to each other, and ensure we're carrying these practices into our daily interactions with clients. In the end, having a better understanding of these three focus areas, what they mean, and how they connect to our everyday work allowed the team to become more self-aware, and we're now making a conscious effort to approach our work with an equity lens. You're on mute, Anne.
Okay, strategizing is essential in conducting activities like this. As much as possible, we should ensure that we are ready in all aspects to avoid unwanted disruption during the session. So the strategies that work well are listed on the slide, but to highlight a few, we incorporated team building activities that are engaging and informative. This is to arouse the interest of the team, making sure that the topics and examples being used and discussed are authentic to our day-to-day experiences and are relatable. So we also provided yummy food as the potluck style lunch, which included cultural delicacies from our diverse team members. This shows that we embrace one another's culture. Also, we drawn on the knowledge and input from our SE coach for sharing in resources we could use. And the video clips provided by the ethic coach were the focal point of the lunch and learn, bringing an in-depth understanding of the topic for Module 1. The video resource provided by the ethic coach was used to further elaborate the discussion. We watch each video followed by an interactive discussion, and everyone has their own reflection and experience to impart. The assurance of welcoming one's opinion was evident during the discussion and made it more compelling and worth taking. So John Dewey's learning by doing theory is one of the reasons why we opted to conduct the lunch and learn this way. We learn more and we remember details if we experience it. To make the learning more effective, we also engage in the following activities: the SWOT analysis, Johari's window, self-awareness, group discussion around halo effect, thorn effect, and confirmation bias. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through these activities, but if you are interested in learning more, you can reach out to us. In the next 2 slides, I will highlight 2 other important activities we used in a more detailed manner. So here is a Venn diagram that we use to gather insight and engage in the reflection about the topics of equity and equality. So given the time constraint, this tool was picked to assess the team's understanding because the graphic itself is simple to prepare, yet requires specific answer. The Venn diagram shows a relationship amongst things, groups, or topics, and visualizes the similarities and differences of concepts. In this photo, the left side shows their understanding about equity, and the right side is for equality, and the middle part is the similarity of both concepts. So using this diagram enables us to evaluate the representation of the logical relationships between equity and equality. The team found this tool to be helpful as they were able to reflect on how the concepts applied, not just in our daily work routine, but as well as to their personal lives. So we even had the chance to discuss it further after the lunch and learn. In here, the topic blind spots and assumption were further discussed by recognizing one's contribution in the department. Although this took notes and favorable impression, the activity projected the opposite to portray a positive impact by advocating self-awareness and self-worth, acknowledging distinct quality and addressing individual differences. So the main goal of this activity is to remind everyone to accept and respect each other as a member of the team and as a unique individual. So this recognition tool was used because we believe that each of us are shining stars in our own little ways. And every individual is unique, and in spite of our individual differences, we were able to come along, we build good relationship, we respect one another, and above all, we recognize our efforts and contribution to the team. So it was a delightful moment for everyone to see how others see them as a person and the value of their contributions. So majority of the team have their stars posted to their desk and stick to their walls and drawers, as it serves as a motivating factor to continue to be better in their job. And the team liked using the tool. Again, it is very basic. It is not complicated to fill out, but the result is enormously impactful, especially in boosting our morale. And everyone is reminded that it doesn't hurt to say thank you and say how much you appreciate one another's contribution to the team.
So although the initiative was successful overall, we did encounter some challenges and thought we would share them with you, as well as some ways that we tried to resolve the challenges. So the first was hesitation to share and ask questions from the unit team. So in this respect, when discussions did not seem to occur organically, the SIT team helped create a comfortable and open environment to welcome honest discussion. So the SIT made an active effort to open up the discussions and to show vulnerability by sharing our own thoughts and opinions. And from there, we found more willingness among our unit team members to do the same. The second was time constraints, and we found that pre-planning was key here. So having an agenda, completing a run through, and prioritizing the information we wanted to share. And the third was coordination of schedules and meeting space. So to try to resolve this, we provided different options for attendance to accommodate different staff scenarios. So attending in person or via Zoom. And we sought input from the unit team when scheduling the session. So looking at Outlook calendars and even providing a survey with date and time options. So since this worked well, we plan to sustain the activity because we found it brought real value to our team and our work. Our staff now see the connection between these professional learning topics and the work that they do. It helped us to build equity sustaining practices into our team's everyday work and allows us to constantly challenge ourselves as professionals and human beings. In the first year, we didn't really come up with a way to formally gather feedback. So all the feedback we received was more informal in the sense of verbal conversations between colleagues. But what was expressed was enjoyment of the interactive nature of the session, positive feedback on the topics selected, and just overall appreciation of the opportunity to connect and socialize as a team. And for future, we plan to gather intentional feedback through creating a survey to provide to participants after the session.
So learning is a lifelong process, and so for us to be able to sustain the essence of this practice, we plan to continue doing annual lunch and learn, delegate the topics and involve the larger unit team in preparation of the session. This way we can sustain the feeling of belongingness and inclusion. We also plan to continue to prepare materials in advance and continue to draw on the knowledge of and resource from the SE coach. So to conclude, I want to share Chinese proverbs, which has the same concept to John Lewis learning by doing theory. And I quote, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. So the Confucian scholar makes a strong point that when it comes to learning, hearing is not as good as seeing, and seeing is not as good as experience. And true experience is only evident when experience is in action. So let's make the experience authentic.